Okay. So bringing that in, lowering stuff some. Still looks like 40 miles of bad road. I think I'm going to go ahead and pop a couple little flakes onto this end because we've got irregularity, and bad symmetry, or whatever you want to call it. And really I could do this with a hand flaker, but a lot about how much or how soon you do that depends on how you want. What are you going to do with the final shape? But if you're just going to do a big old fluke job on it, then got to decide how much to do pre-thinning. You know, that flute early and often concept isn't necessarily all it's cracked up to be if you don't phase and stage everything right. But you can do that. You can have multiple thinning series on stuff. I have to thin it once. Another thing too though is if you get your edge, your end kind of sharp to start with and don't have it real rough, then when you do stuff later it's less risky because you're not putting as much force on it when it's thinner. And again, when I do this, I usually use kind of the corner of it and I hit inward a little bit at an angle. And I'm going for a clean underside to it without a bunch of hinges. And that's the same reason I go kind of light on hitting with a coarse abrader, because it does take flakes. But if you angle it backward a little bit and go kind of light, it's sort of taking the flakes only on high spots, and it makes them come off relatively clean, and they don't. And you can knock them off with a hammer stone too. If you get one that's fairly hard and all it doesn't grab, then that's clean. Okay, so I turn this back the other way, and it's a train wreck. You know, you can see from the irregularity to it because I just went crazy with hitting straight down. But some of them are lower than others. But either any way it goes, even though this is steep, I can just push on it. And since I don't have to push the flakes, you know, I'm not trying to go for overshots or anything, so I don't have to push the flakes and make them run too far. I can get a fairly thick flake that'll do some good, even though I don't have good ridges here. So I don't have, this is all wrong. Bad contour. I don't have, I mean, I got ridges running parallel to the edge, but I don't, angled, but I don't really have any ridges coming in. So there's nothing really to help me except thickness. Well, thickness and my own influence or mad skills magic, which you're fixing to see, right? Like and subscribe, like and subscribe. Okay. I didn't wear these sparkly new sunglasses to keep the same, you know, stuff going on. All right, so here we go. I'm skipping some areas. No, I'm not. I'm starting right at this end. I'm gonna be organized. Why? Because there's no point in it, so I'm gonna do it. Why was there no point in it? Because I took a 1/4 inch flake and made a knife edge there where it's not supposed to be one. And then I did a hinge into there where definitely not supposed to be one, but the big old enormous flute that I'm gonna hit in a little while will take care of that. I'm leaving this delta here and skipping over where there's no isolation or anything to help me, just to show magic at work. I got that hinge off and I drove that thing over there, and that went over that way, which didn't do any good, except it kind of lowered that a little bit, but you know what I'm saying. So now we'll do punch isolation. This is running over that way, which is weird. So I'm gonna put the punch on here and aim back this way. I'm gonna angle that back this way and do a little dink down and just move my ridge over a little bit just to show you that I can do that. Because now, when I hit this sucker, that flake is gonna undercut the heck out of that, okay? That is just, memorize that surface, because that surface is fixing to be in 2 hits, one here and one here. That is going to be altered forever, if not longer, okay? Okay. Are you ready? I'm pushing on it some. Are you ready? What do you think happened? Do you think I'm full of crap and just messed it up totally? Or do you think it worked like magic and I deserve to be an internet influencer big time? All right, here. Look, look. Is that not as smooth and pretty as a baby's butt? No, I didn't say babies' butts are pretty. I mean, you know what I mean, weirdos. Okay, so here we go. I said one more, didn't I? I better braid since I said one more. Well, one more, it'd have to be an awfully dang wide. It'd have to be from there to there wide on the platform in order to do it with one more. But I mean, virtually speaking, this crap here is already pretty much gone. So hang on a second. Hold your beer and watch this. There, what do you think happened? You think it's just ugly as heck and I'm an idiot? Or do you think I did really good and y'all want to call me capital I influencer? Well, it's pretty dang smooth. I mean, it's definitely lower and smoother. I am going to claim that it's perfect, but then hit here and here also just because they're there. What do you think that one did? Did that bird just say, I swear that sounded like that bird said, Okay, now, a casual observer, if I throw this down on the ground and leave it there for like 8,000 years, a casual observer will find this, pick it up, and think, man, that was a problem-free rock. That guy didn't have any trouble doing that. I don't know why he threw it away, because it's all just clean and wonderful. All right. Yep. Now it's only like 15 millimeters thick. We're getting there. Feels like a burr. Okay. I'll go ahead and knock these deltas off. Back up just about to the center line now, if you'll notice. And you can also notice that it's very much rolled. So, after you clean that up, you need to come back the other way carefully. And you can do this stuff with shearing tools or with different things, or with, if you want to do it right, you can do it with a pressure flicker. You can do it carefully and correctly. So it all just sort of depends on how much time you got and how much patience you got and whether you care. So that's where I left off on this side before. This is where I left off before. And I'm going to go ahead and hit to this side even though it's at the center line or slightly above the center line from this side. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit it anyway. And I'm going to push on here. And I do that frequently, and it's never the standard practice or the great idea. But the reason I do it frequently is because I'm frequently trying to conserve width beyond what would occur if I did things quote unquote correctly. So that's the thing. That's the thing. This is definitely not a great edge. Okay, so now I'm going to try and sink this enough to take off that hinge, and then I'm going to keep sinking them until I'm past all this nonsense right in here and see how that goes. So that cleaned that up very well. Get off me. This is critical, y'all. Critical. This is more critical. There's an undulation right here that isn't good for doing a lot. This hole along here isn't great for doing a lot until I come in more. And there's more thickness really on that back side. So I'm going to be conservative here and only bring these flakes in maybe that far. I don't need them to run a long ways right now because things ain't good. Come on. Since I'm running a shorter distance, I should have taken the other percussor. I'm basically just reversing the roll here on this edge. So this time I'm not driving it inward. You can see it tilted down a little bit. I'm not driving it inward on here because of the shape. And as you can tell, I mean, this material was looking great when it was larger, and now it's starting to look drier, a little more tearing and hackle kind of stuff. That's just pretty typical Texas rock. It still looks fairly good on that side. All depends on where the middle was. Now I'm paying a little more attention than I was because I'm getting closer in. I have known people who try and get things under great control early on and just keep them that way throughout the whole reduction. I certainly can't question the wisdom of that. I've done that myself depending upon what I was trying to do. If I was working something problematic and I want to get something spectacular out of it, then I have done that. I am stepping down and seeing what I can do with the lighter moose billet. You do have to watch the different degree to which bulbing occurs with how fast if you change the speed of what you're putting into the edge. Because if you do not have a lot of sets left to go, you're running out of width or whatever. If you put the stuff in slower to get your flakes, you get less bulb and you don't have to turn the edges much for the next set. And it isn't just the hardness of the percussor either. You can change the flake signature dramatically by how you hold things and your angle and how hard you drop the percussor on it, and how much back edge support you have. Now that set was relatively clean and effective, and depending on how far I drive the set from this side will be thinning, but I didn't run these things very far past the center line, so the thinning isn't, and there aren't super thick flakes, so the thinning won't be super dramatic either. And usually I would stay on the left side for this set, but this is still not turned far enough that way to do good with this higher level of thickness that exists on that side. So I think I'm going to come back to this side and get out of sync with the way I want to do the stuff. And you can say, well, if you had controlled the thing all the way down, then you wouldn't have had that issue. Like, yep, you're right. Go back.